Backlogs, the mountain of plastic, the pile of shame, whatever you call it, this is something a lot of hobbyists, myself included, can end up building to an unreasonable degree as our ambition outpaces our actual capability to paint. Some hobbyists and YouTubers have pledged this year to not buy anymore until they get through a certain amount, a worthy endeavour to be sure. Jester and I will be tackling ours slightly differently. We'll still be making new purchases, but I'll be creating a monthly hobby log to keep track of our progress, hopefully painting more models than buying and displaying the results. It should be a fun space to show what we've got going on and maybe help inspire others to tackle their own grey mountains. Anyway, enough rambling, let's see what we got painted in February of 2022. First up is a Biologist Putrefier for my Death Guard army. A fairly recent acquisition this one. Jester and I have only played about 2 games of 40k since the start of 9th edition, as we've been distracted by other games that personally we found more fun. Nonetheless, we're quite invested in 40k as a hobby, and with the new Elder on the way, we decided to take another stab at it. My true love is reserved for my Black Legion army, but the thought of playing with the ancient Chaos Space Marine Codex pains me, so I'll be using the Death Guard for the time being. I also painted these 3 fine fellows. Somewhat annoyingly, the 9th edition Death Guard Codex has invalidated a number of my squad loadouts, so I'm having to rearrange the squads as well as paint up some additional models to plug in the gaps. These 3 will be filling out the spaces in my new melee-focused Plague Marine squad. It's a pain having to buy new models for old squads, but as someone who has been playing since the end of 2nd edition, this isn't a new thing. I'm not looking forward to having to take a pair of clippers to my Black Legion Terminator squad because following the trend of weapon loadouts in the 9th edition codices, having every one of them with a combi plasma is clearly not going to be a thing going forwards. Speaking of Chaos Terminators, the new Blight Lords seem really good in the 9th edition codex, and I had a squad of them still on the sprue from the Christmas box set that came out a few years ago, so I decided to finally paint them up. One of the nice things about painting Death Guard is that they take me a lot less time than my other armies, simply because you can paint them quite messily and they still look absolutely fine. Now these models were a lot of fun to paint, so much so I want to get 10 more of them down the line. But this kit does suffer from the fact it is a new Games Workshop kit. What that means is, sure, whilst there is a lot of detail, there's going to be very little variation between the poses in the different squads without significant resculpting, which is a shame. I love the detail of the new models, but considering how stylized they are, there's always going to be a Flyboy Terminator, or the Terminator whose tumours are bursting out of his armour across the different squads. These newly painted models should now mean I can start playing a Crusade campaign with them at about 25 power level. I still have a Plague Burst Crawler that I need to paint before my 50 power level list can be used. Depending on how much 40k I get in, I might be able to add that onto the list for next month. Moving on to something a lot less new, Jester finished painting up her Striking Scorpions in anticipation of the new Elder Codex. Unfortunately, I forgot to take a group shot, but of the 6, only one had been painted fully, and that happened maybe 12 years ago, if not longer. The other 5 only had their armour done, but now they're finished and ready to rock the tabletop. If she decides to get any more in the future, she's going to have to play around with the different colours to see if she can replicate the paint job here, because when these were done, the Citadel paint range was completely different and the paints behave very differently to how they do today. Speaking of the armours, Jester likes to differentiate her Exarchs by painting their armour slightly differently. I quite like the effect she's done here, giving the Scorpion Exarch's armour a Jade Beetle look. She was really happy to finally clear these from her backlog, and I know how she feels. I still have a Forge World Trigon and Madanthrope that I bought back in 2006 that are still waiting to be built, let alone painted. So now for something a little different. Both Jester and I are huge fans of the Warhammer Quest range, particularly Blackstone Fortress. In fact, I was going to feature Blackstone Fortress heavily on my channel when I first planned on launching, but real life got in the way and I missed that boat. Now that Games Workshop have solved their supply chain issues with Cursed City, both Jester and I are really looking forward to the re-release later this year, and we've started painting up our copy in anticipation. The first model I tackled was Cleona Zeitingale, one of the playable heroes. I really enjoyed painting her and I used a mixture of contrast and layer paints to achieve the final look. I thought painting the runes on the streamers hanging from her back piece would be a bit of a hassle because there's quite a few of them, but it ended up not being too bad. I also managed to score some quick wins from the Cursed City box. These 6 swarms of undead rats were both quick and satisfying to paint, taking no time at all. And of course, if you have a cursed city with undead rats, then you need some undead kitties to take care of them. It can take a long time to paint the amount of models which come in a box game like Cursed City, which I believe amounts to something like 60 miniatures. Jester stepped in with a really cool quick painting scheme for the Orphan Watch here. She achieved the rusty metal effect by using the same technique that she used on our Octarius terrain. She made a video covering exactly how she painted that Octarius terrain, which I'll link in the description down below in case you're interested. While admittedly I struggle to get into the lore side of Age of Sigmar despite my many attempts, I really do like the Ulfenkarn setting of Cursed City, and the novel by C.L. Werner really sells it to me. In essence, think Bloodborne meets Age of Sigmar. The city's human population is terrorized by its vampiric ruler, who utilizes the Orphan Watch, these scaredy boys, to enforce his brutal laws and murder anyone caught outside after curfew. In addition to painting the Orphan Watch, Jester also managed to paint up their watch captain, who was an unpleasant fellow in life, and now serves the vampire overlord Radukar in Undeath. Finally, after finishing the Orphan Watch, Jester also started work on the zombies that come with Cursed City, aiming for a quick but effective paint scheme. Here are the first 2 that she managed to complete this month. Other than that, the only other models that were painted were this Orc Commando Nob for my Orc Commando kill team, and this Preacher Boy, which means my Orcs are now fully ready for play. That brings the grand total of models painted in February to 38. Subtracting from this, we have the 16 models from the Eldritch Omens box set that we bought this month, plus another 20 models from the Fallout Wasteland Warfare range, which is a game I plan on covering soon. That means, despite all of this painting, we only shrunk our backlog by 2 models this month. That's kinda rough, but then again, that's exactly why I'm doing this. There will be more purchases soon, admittedly. We're definitely going to be getting the Kill Team Nachman box set, but overall, as long as we're staying ahead like this, I'll be happy. That's it for this month. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you enjoy this style of video? While I made it to largely keep me to task, hopefully it will serve as inspiration for you to tackle your own Grey Mountains. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see you in the next video.